So welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to provide you an experience of what it's like to drive a manual transmission Cayenne all throughout New York City. So you have the gear shift lever, you have your clutch pedal on the far left, and we're just going to go for a spin and see what it's like. So as I let off on the clutch and I place it into first gear, you'll notice that the car just takes an easy roll. I let the BMW pass, I run through the yellow light, I accelerate into second, pop it into third, and being that it's an easy clutch, it's relatively easy to drive. So there's no left leg struggles when I'm driving this car. It's pretty easy, and it's actually a pleasure to drive whenever I get the chance to. So if you ever have the opportunity to drive a manual transmission, as I wait for this red light over here and I watch this truck closely approach on my left side, the light finally turns green, I'm able to drive slowly, and I let off on the clutch, give it some gas, not too much gas because I don't want to burn the clutch disc. So I put it back into first, give it some gas, let go of the clutch, ride it into second, and I'm realizing that this is such a fun vehicle to drive. It's a lot more engaging than an automatic, and I see that there's a large traffic jam on the Clearview Expressway, so I'm going to avoid that road because that's what the reality of New York City is. The minute you're driving a manual transmission, you see traffic, you try to find alternate side roads in order to allow you to pretty much not be riding the clutch as often as possible, because repairs on a Porsche clutch are very costly. But most of the time, I'm always left in neutral. Give it a little bit of gas, rev match, first into second, and then I go into third. Third is where I'm gonna live most of the time whenever I'm driving this car, because I wanna pretty much stay in that cruising mode right there. Then I pop it back into neutral. But oddly enough, you stay in first and second. And first gear in this vehicle is relatively short. By 10 miles an hour, I'm already shifting into second. So it has a really tall first gear. I'm already going 10 miles an hour. I'm already into second gear, and I'm gonna live in second for a while until I get to 4,000 revolutions. And I'm into third gear. The only thing is, when you're driving a manual transmission, you want cars in front of you to accelerate a little bit further so you could be further engaged with the car, but sometimes it's not the reality. And you just have to deal with the fact that some people drive extremely slow whenever you're driving in this car. But nonetheless, it's an enjoyable experience. I mean, it prevents me from ever having to pick up my phone. It's pretty much the safest type of vehicle that you could possibly drive. As I'm waiting for this car in front of me to accelerate to the red light, it doesn't quite do it. So I pop it back into neutral, I let it ride. And I don't have to engine brake because I'm not going down any hills or anything of that nature, so I just let it ride through. But the manual transmission for the Porsche Cayenne, I feel like they're not that numerous. There were not that many ever made. And whenever I take it to car shows, or I see people's reactions whenever they see the gear lever and the third pedal, they're left perplexed. They're like, where the hell did you get this car? I'm like, well, I found it on a used car lot. It was the greatest discovery I ever found. And to me, it's just a fun way to tell a story about an analog experience in a relatively sedate 6-cylinder vehicle. No one ever expects it. And whenever people jump into the car, they're like, wait, what is going on? And then they have stories about the first car that they had in the 70s or the 80s, about a car that had a clutch pedal that their parents forced them to learn how to drive because it was an important skill to have at the time. But in a world where nearly 90% of vehicles are now made with an automatic transmission or more, oh, there's another Cayenne, and it's probably a automatic transmission because it's an S. But most of the time, most of the vehicles that are for sale now are automatic transmissions. They're not as engaging. They are better in a way that they are very quick. You look at the race cars now that people produce, and you realize that not a lot of the pedals, not a lot of the clutch pedals are even necessary, because the dual clutch mechanism is quicker than the brain can actually think. But with that said, thank you for riding along with me. It's been a pleasure, and I look forward to the next video. Like, subscribe, do whatever you got to do. And this is the first one, so I hope you enjoyed it.